When a woman wants you to chase, it's often less about deep attraction and more about the validation she receives from your pursuit. Every text you send first, every effort you make to get her attention, every time you rearrange your priorities to please her, it all feeds her ego and gives her that temporary high of feeling wanted. And while this might make her feel good in the moment, it doesn't automatically mean she truly respects you or values you as a man. You have to understand the difference between her craving validation and her having genuine interest in you. Think about it like this. If you're constantly showing up, constantly trying to prove yourself, she gets accustomed to the energy you give her without having to give anything back. It turns into a one-sided dynamic where you're investing heavily and she's simply collecting. And the truth is, when you're giving too much and she's not reciprocating, she sees it as desperation, not strength. Desperation never commands respect. What actually earns respect is restraint. It's the ability to hold back, to let her wonder, to make her question why you're not chasing the way others do. Women are naturally drawn to men who stand out. And one of the quickest ways to stand out is to avoid being like the majority of men who chase endlessly just to win scraps of attention. When you don't play into that game, you separate yourself from the noise. She starts to notice the contrast. She might even begin to question why you're not seeking her approval, why you're not feeding her ego, and that curiosity starts turning into attraction. The validation she wants and the respect she gives you are not the same thing. Chasing may give her that sense of control, but not chasing makes her see you as someone who controls himself. That's where the respect comes in. She might not even be able to explain it, but she feels it. A man who doesn't need her validation is a man she takes seriously. So remember, the line is thin but powerful. Chasing gives her attention, but withholding the chase makes her value it. And when she values it, that's when her respect truly grows. Ending line: the moment you stop seeking validation and start commanding respect, that's when the dynamic shifts in your favor. When a woman pulls back or plays hard to get, most men instantly assume it means she's losing interest. But more often than not, it's a subconscious test to see what kind of man you really are. Women are wired to test the strength of the man they're dealing with. And these moments of distance or hesitation are less about rejection and more about discovering whether you can hold your ground. If you panic, chase harder, or get emotional the second she withholds attention, you're showing her that your frame depends on her approval. And once she knows that, the respect begins to fade. A woman wants to know if you can remain steady when things don't go your way. She's checking if you're the type of man who collapses under pressure or if you remain calm, collected, and confident regardless of her actions. This is why chasing often backfires. The harder you run after her when she withdraws, the more you reveal that your emotions are in her control. The man who doesn't take the bait, the one who doesn't overreact, shows strength without even saying a word. It's important to realize these tests are not always intentional. Sometimes she doesn't even realize she's doing it. It's her subconscious searching for proof of your masculinity and emotional independence. Just like a storm tests the strength of a tree, these little pullbacks test whether your foundation is solid or fragile. If you can't stay grounded when she challenges you, she knows she can't trust you when life throws bigger problems your way. When you don't overchase, you're sending a very clear signal. You are patient, you have self-control, and you're not desperate for her validation. That's powerful because it communicates that you are the prize. You're willing to let her come to you rather than scrambling for her approval. This subtle strength is exactly what separates men she plays with from men she respects. At the end of the day, a woman doesn't truly want to lead the dynamic. She wants to feel the presence of a man who is steady, unshaken, and in control of himself, no matter what she does. Ending line: the moment you stop failing her tests and start passing them with calm strength, You earn the respect that chasing could never buy. One of the biggest truths in relationships is that people value what is scarce. When you make yourself too available, when you're always the one chasing, calling, texting, or rearranging your life for her, your value in her eyes begins to drop. She might enjoy the attention in the short term, but deep down she knows it's too easy, and what comes too easy rarely earns long-term respect. Women respect what they have to earn. That's why the men who don't constantly chase create a different reaction in her. Suddenly she starts to wonder, why isn't he like all the others? Why doesn't he need me to validate him? That curiosity makes her think about you more. Scarcity doesn't mean ignoring her or playing games. It means showing that you have a life outside of her. It means you're not desperate for her attention because your time is filled with purpose, goals, and priorities that matter to you. When a woman sees that you don't drop everything just to please her, it creates a sense of intrigue. She realizes that you value yourself and therefore she should value you too. On the flip side, men who chase endlessly fall into a trap. They confuse effort with attraction. They think the more they give, the more she'll respect them. But in reality, the more predictable and available you become, the less she feels the spark. What builds the spark is mystery, balance, and the feeling that she has to earn your time. When you're scarce, your presence becomes a reward instead of a constant supply. That reward has value because it's not guaranteed. Women know their beauty and attention are powerful tools, but when you don't overindulge in those things, you shift the power dynamic. Instead of her feeling in control, she begins to see you as a man of control, someone who doesn't just give himself away without standards. That's the kind of man she respects because he demonstrates discipline and self-worth without ever needing to say it. Ending line: when you stop chasing and start living with purpose, your scarcity makes you valuable, and it's that value that earns her respect. Chasing too much often kills attraction because it removes the space that's necessary for desire to grow. Attraction isn't built by pressure, by constantly being present, or by trying to force feelings. It's built in the gaps, in the moments when she has the chance to wonder what you're doing, who you're with, and why you're not glued to her side like every other man. When you chase, you're flooding her with attention to the point where she doesn't get the chance to miss you. But when you step back, you create that space, and in that space, curiosity and longing can grow. Think about any time you've really wanted something. It wasn't because it was handed to you instantly, but because you had to wait, you had to wonder, and the anticipation built up the value in your mind. That's exactly how attraction works between men and women. If you over pursue, you take away the anticipation. You rob her of the natural process of building excitement and desire. A woman who never has to question where she stands with you, who never has to think about you when you're not around, loses interest far quicker than a woman who is left in just enough mystery to keep her thinking. The man who doesn't chase understands that giving space is not a weakness, it's a strategy. By not hovering, he allows her to feel the emotions that drive attraction. She gets to experience the thrill of waiting for your call, the excitement of wondering if you're thinking of her, the rush of seeing you again after some distance. All of those emotions keep her invested. What happens when you pressure her with too much chasing is that she feels suffocated. Even if she was interested at first, the constant pursuit can overwhelm her. No one feels desire for something that is forced upon them. But when you're confident enough to let things breathe, you're sending the message that you don't need her constant attention to feel secure. That kind of emotional independence is magnetic. Ending line: attraction needs oxygen, and the space you create by not chasing is exactly what allows the fire to burn stronger. Women naturally look to men for leadership, not because they can't lead themselves, but because deep attraction is built when a man is firmly in his masculine frame. When you chase endlessly, you put her in the position of power, handing her control of the dynamic. The problem with this is that it flips the natural polarity. She becomes the one deciding where things go, and you become the one following her. While she might enjoy the attention deep down, it doesn't inspire respect. What does inspire respect is a man who leads his own life and invites her to be a part of it, not a man who waits for her direction. When you are always chasing, you're signaling that she's the prize and you're hoping to win her. But the truth is, attraction flips when she sees that you're the one with standards, that you're the one deciding who gets access to your time and energy. A man who has control of his life, who operates with purpose, doesn't abandon his mission just to pursue a woman. He stays centered in his frame, and that stability is what women are drawn to. Leadership in this context doesn't mean controlling her. It means controlling yourself. It's about being decisive, having a vision, and guiding interactions with calm confidence. For example, instead of constantly asking what she wants, you make plans. Instead of waiting for her approval, you show her where you're going, and she chooses whether to join you. That's powerful because it communicates certainty, and certainty is one of the most attractive traits a man can display. The moment you chase, you show uncertainty. You reveal that you're unsure of your worth and are looking to her to validate it. But when you stop chasing and instead act from a position of strength, you show her that you're not afraid to walk away, that you know what you bring to the table, and that you are in charge of your own path. Women respect men who don't collapse into her world, but who instead stand strong in their own and allow her to step into it. Line. Respect is built when you lead with strength, not when you chase with desperation. The most powerful thing you can ever show a woman is that your sense of happiness and identity does not depend on her. When you chase endlessly, what you're really communicating is that you need her attention in order to feel good about yourself. That dependence kills attraction, because it places all of your value in her hands. But when you hold back from chasing and instead live from a place of choice, you flip the dynamic. You show her that you're with her because you want to be, not because you have to be. That distinction creates respect because it proves that you're emotionally independent. Confidence isn't about acting tough or pretending you don't care. Real confidence is being willing to walk away if something doesn't serve you. When you're not afraid of losing her, she feels that energy. She knows you won't compromise your dignity just to keep her around, and that makes her see you as rare. Most men will bend their standards, lower their boundaries, or sacrifice their self-worth in hopes of holding on to a woman, but the man who stands firm, who values himself above chasing, earns a respect that cannot be faked. This power of choice keeps the relationship healthy because it balances the scales. She doesn't feel like you're smothering her or trying to control her, and at the same time, she feels the weight of your presence because she knows you don't give it lightly. A man who doesn't chase but chooses wisely communicates that he has options, that he understands his worth, and that he refuses to be dependent on anyone for his sense of fulfillment. That energy is magnetic because it's rooted in strength, not neediness. At the end of the day, women may enjoy being pursued, but they respect the man who doesn't need to pursue to prove himself. They respect the man who could walk away at any moment because his life, his mission, and his confidence are not tied to her response. When you embody that independence, you stop asking for respect and start commanding it. Ending line. The moment you choose not to chase, but to stand firm in your independence, you earn a respect that no amount of pursuit could ever buy.